This is F. Murray Abraham for the Multiple Sclerosis Research Center of New York and International Multiple Sclerosis Management Practice. I want to personally thank you for taking part in this very special event. MS is a debilitating progressive disease which affects an estimated 600,000 people in the U.S. and millions worldwide.
My first real symptom that suggested that I have MS occurred in November of 1997. It was the week of Thanksgiving. I remember it was that Monday, and I, at that time, was in private practice. I'm a gastroenterologist, and I was doing an endoscopy. And during the endoscopy, I noticed that I had this faint gray line across my right eye, and I thought that was really unusual.
I was diagnosed 23 years ago when I was 24 years old. And I essentially went numb from my chest down within a 2-week period.
My symptoms started after a 5-mile run, and I noticed a tingling sensation in my leg, kind of the feeling you have when you smash your funny bone.
In September of 1998, that's when Dr. Sadiq said to me, he said, "You know, now I know you have MS," and that's because I ended up with a bout of paralysis. It affected my right side. It only lasted a week, thank God.
MS affects a patient by a change in function, whether it's speech, walking ability, numbness, tingling, loss of eyesight, bladder function, bowel function, sexual dysfunction, sense of overwhelming fatigue. And initially, that is all usually reversible, and they have these episodes that come on, and if it's untreated, it leads later to disability that's not reversible.
My balance is not good based on the numbness in my feet. It's been mostly lower body issues, leg strength. My legs are much weaker now than they ever were. I've gone from, fully walking, playing doubles tennis, to walking with a cane, to walking with 2 canes, to now having 4 scooters and hardly walking at all.
And people don't know whether to help you, whether not to help you, whether to accept their help, whether not to accept their help. To have a young kid just absolutely stare at you because they've never seen anybody walk like that.
It became difficult to maintain the schedule, take care of my 2 young kids, and in February of 1999, at that time, I closed down my private practice.
I have patients who are young, who have children, and they just want to be able to take them to the bus in the morning, to the school bus. I have patients who wanted to go to the soccer practice, and that is a big struggle. And they feel like they're inadequate as parents, and they lose their self-esteem. Their relationships with their spouses suffer. Their whole personality changes. And it pains me when I can see those patients, and I really cannot give them the help that they need. And that is what's driving my whole sort of interest in stem cell biology and in growth factors and so on, to try to repair the disease in these patients.
The one big thing that's on the horizon, and it's imminent, is stem cell research.
He did say about a year ago that stem cell treatment would be the answer, and I firmly believe that he's probably correct. At least I hope that he's correct, because there is no answer yet. There is nothing that's helped me or reversed any of the symptoms that I've had. It's been a progressive illness.
All the treatments to date have been focusing on controlling the disease activity, and stopping the disease progression. This, for the first time, changes the whole face of MS therapy, because it introduces regeneration and repair. And so you can get better with MS. You can, what you lost 5 years ago may recover. And so this is the hope. And not just for MS. If this does indeed work, it could help patients with cerebral palsy, it could help patients with traumatic brain injury or stroke, or maybe it won't help MS patients, but only help those diseases. We'll have to find that out.
In our laboratory, we've been studying the use of bone marrow-derived stem cells for the treatment of MS. The preclinical data looks very good. A population of stem cells in the bone marrow called mesenchymal stem cells have the potential to develop in the laboratory into cells that have many of the characteristics of brain cells, of nerves, and oligodendrocytes. The hope is that we can take these stem cells from the bone marrow, grow them in our laboratory, and then transplant them back into the patient with the hope that they will repair the damage, resulting in a reversal of the disability. Our laboratory is unique in the sense that we work so seamlessly with the clinic that we can really move our translational research quickly into the clinic. And I think the pace of our research is accelerated because of our close interaction with with the MS practice. We think there's a lot of hope for the use of bone marrow-derived stem cells in the treatment of MS, and we are planning clinical trials in the very near future. I think treatments will be, the first clinical trial is months away.
I'd worked at Columbia University and then Roosevelt. I was chairman of neurology. But for innovative research, institutions are somewhat restrictive, and also you don't have the freedom to really do what you think which you know is a priority for what should be done. And also for when you get funds in an institution, there is a percentage that goes for administrative costs, and there's a percentage that goes for dean's taxes and so on. And I just felt that that was not the best use of money, because the way they divided it, the priorities are not always what my priorities were. So we had this vision of creating an independent research center in New York, and it's really the largest MS facility of its type in the world, and it focuses on MS 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and all the money that's raised for research is spent on research, and the clinical facility is independently supported, and if anything, it supports the research as well.
The more funding we have, the more resources we have, the more people we can have in the laboratory asking these important questions about MS, the sooner we'll find a cause of the disease, and the sooner we'll find a cure.
The treatments I'd gotten, they'd really helped me in a way that I can't express fully. And I've been back to work, and between getting intrathecal methotrexate and the Tysabri now for the last 6 months, I'm able to work, 11, 12-hour days and work on very exciting, very intense projects.
The one thing that bothers me pretty much, thinking about the future the most, is that I realize that I'm not going to be able to dance with my son at his wedding. And that is probably the most upsetting thought that I have, because I danced with my father at his wedding, at my wedding, and my son won't be dancing with me at his wedding.
My daughter is now 9 years old, and on her bat mitzvah day, you walk the Torah around the temple, and I'd like to do that with her.
Dr. Sadiq is somebody who saves so many people's lives by what he does.
Your generous contributions will quicken the pace of the critical work now being done at the Multiple Sclerosis Research Center of New York. We cannot thank you enough.
Let's find a cure. Let's hope something makes a difference.